Hi, Lyssa here. Today, what I wanted to really talk about a bit is a conversation that just has come up multiple times with people this week, which is this idea of having grace with ourselves. There's a quote that I really love, and it's like, be kind to everyone you meet, for everybody is walking a very difficult road. And as we are navigating these difficult roads, it is often so easy to get triggered by these ideas of not doing it perfectly, not doing it good enough, and how that binds us up inside of ourselves, and how we then take whatever that is. One of my clients said, I notice when I'm judgmental of myself, I'm far more judgmental of other people. Someone else had said, when I am anxious, I'm so much more likely to attribute whatever somebody is doing or saying that it's my fault. And then, of course, that impacts and influences the way that our relationships are being navigated with other people. And so as we were talking in one of these conversations, the word that just was like pulsing in my brain was the word grace. And so I shared that with a client. I said, the word that is really striking me in my brain right now as you're talking is this word grace. What does that mean for you? And she said, well, she goes, I don't like it in the sense of like a sense of forgiveness and giving grace to people or giving grace in a forgiving kind of way. She goes, but it is the compassion for the journey. And that just really made me excited as I started to think about, how do we show ourselves compassion for the journey? Because what ultimately comes out of that conversation is, if it's true that if I'm judgmental with myself, I'm more judgmental with other people, or if my insecurities get triggered with myself, I'm much more insecure with other people, or if I'm anxious about my behavior, I'm much more critical of other people's behavior. What is possible if I show myself compassion for the journey? Not that I'm perfect, but that I'm constantly holding myself in a sense of accountability within myself, so that I can then have that sense of compassion and grace with others. And what might happen as we allow that to show up in the space with our whether it was a direct report in one case, it was a parent in another, it was, I had my own situation this week with a coworker where how do we speak from ourselves with a place of transparency where we are not mad at ourselves or critical with ourselves for the fact that something isn't going well, and that we need to have a genuine, transparent conversation that comes from that place of, and I talked about this in a blog, how do I own the I in disagree or in difficult, and how do we then accept that this is just where we are right at this moment. And the other thing that really came up is, when we're not in a place of compassion for the experience, we tend to be very much in our head. So as my client was talking about this, she was talking about this very quickly. There was a lot of pressure as she was talking, and as we got to this place of what would it mean to have compassion for yourself in this experience, like I could just feel her take a breath. We actually took a breath together, and she just slowed down, and the whole cadence of the pressure she was putting on this situation to be perfect, which was what it was in her situation, was to be perfect, and just have some compassion for herself, that we're wildly human, imperfect, and fabulous regardless of our imperfections. And it's a place of being curious. It's a place of wonder where, like, what is happening with me in this moment, so that I can bring that knowledge that, I don't need to be perfect down into my body, and have compassion for the fact of how hard that can be. So that as I move forward in my life, I'm able to then share that joy, share that compassion, share that acceptance and understanding of the difficult journey that we all may find ourselves traveling upon. And so I think that's what I have to say for today. So I wish you much compassion with yourself as you move forward in your day, and all the best. Cheers.